Okay, welcome back to the second part of solving rational expressions. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We have to find the common denominator, multiply both sides by the common denominator, look for any extraneous answers, and then solve. We'll solve and then check for extraneous answers. All right. So this one is nice because we know the common denominator is x minus 5. But I still have to multiply each side by x minus 5 to eliminate that common denominator, to eliminate the denominator. So when I multiply by x minus 5, I don't want to do it that way because that's ugly. That's even uglier. Okay, let's do it. I think we need to do what we did before. So we're multiplying by x minus 5. So I'm going to have x minus 1, x minus 5 is equal to 4 over x minus 5. And then showing that I'm multiplying by the LCD, I'm going to show you that I multiply both sides by x minus 5. And then what happens to each of those? So this cancels. This is good. This is easy. And this cancels. And I get 4. So solving for this, adding 1 to both sides, because it's just a regular one-step equation, I get x equals 5. But can x equals 5? X cannot equal 5 because if x is 5, it's going to make my denominator 0. So we call this an extraneous answer. And since it was the only possibility, we have to say that there is no solution here. That will never happen. So there is no solution. Okay? All right, let's do problem number 6. Okay, I'm going to have to remember to factor. It's a difference of 2 squares, so I'm going to factor that. All right, what is my least common denominator? Well, my first denominator is x minus 2. This one is x minus 2, but it also has x plus 2. And the last one is x plus 2, so we go under that column. And then we multiply the columns together. So my least common denominator is x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to multiply everything by that. So I have x over x minus 2 plus x plus 2, x minus 2, and that's equal to x plus 3 over x plus 2. All right, so let's get our red out and multiply by our least common denominator, which is x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay, and what happens? That x minus 2 cancels, so I am left with x times x plus 2. Everything cancels, both of those cancel, so I'm just left with x. The x plus 2 cancel, and so I'm left with x plus 3 times x minus 2. All right, so now we have to just do some algebra here, some simplifying in algebra. So hopefully I can do this correctly. This is going to give me x squared plus 2x plus x, and that's equal to x squared. I'm just going to do that in my head right quick. That's negative 2 and 3 plus x minus 6. And that's it. And so now I solve this like a regular equation. They have x squares, but when I move the x squared to the other side, it zeroes out. So then I'm left with, oh, and I can combine those like terms. So that's 3x. So that's 3x is equal to x minus 6. Subtracting x from both sides, I get 2x equals negative 6. So x is equal to negative 3. Okay, is that an extraneous answer? It is not. My extraneous answer would have been x equals 2 or x equals negative 2. But that is not an extraneous answer, so that is my answer. All righty. Again, this one's pretty simple because we can easily tell that the least common denominator is going to be x minus 1, x plus 2. So rewriting that, I get 2 over x minus 1. That's equal to 3 over x plus 2. And then I multiply by my common denominator, x minus 1, x plus 2. And then I see x minus 1 cancel, so this is going to be 2x plus 4. X plus 2 cancels, so this is going to equal to 3x minus 3. And again, I'm back to solving the two-step equation. I subtract 3x from both sides. I get negative x plus 4 equals negative 3. Subtract 4. I get negative x is equal to negative 7. X is equal to 7. What would be my extraneous answer? X cannot equal to 1 and x cannot equal to negative 2. So once again, I'm golden. All right, last one. And if you want to pause the video and you try this one on your own, I would suggest you do that, okay? All right, welcome back. And let's just try this. What is our least common denominator? I'm getting to the point, or you should be at the point where you can see that the least common denominator is going to be x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay? So then multiplying everything together, this is 2x squared. I'm going to write it out because I factored that and I got x plus 3, x minus 3. So this is 2x plus 3, x minus 3, plus 5 times x minus 3 is equal to 3 times x plus 3. And multiplying by my least common denominator, I get x plus 3, x minus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3. We can start a little dance there. Both of those cancel, so I'm left with 2. That cancels, so I am left with 5x plus 15. And that's going to equal to x plus 3 is canceled, so that's going to equal to 3x minus 9. Then once again, I am back to just solving a regular equation using my equation solving skills. I subtract 3x. I get 2x plus 7 equals negative 9. I subtract 7. I get 2x is equal to negative 16. Divide by 2. X is equal to negative 8. There we go, boys and girls. Is that an extraneous answer? It is not, because my extraneous answer would have been x equals 3 and x equals negative 3. So once again, we're golden. So that is how you solve a rational equation algebraically. And the next video will show us how to solve it graphically.